You know who my next guest is? It's Primo Bellarosa, the head coach and owner of Vision Quest Muay Thai, as we get ready for NEF 53 going down this coming Saturday in Portland, Maine from the Merrill Auditorium. Primo, how are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. And I first want to start with your new gym. I haven't been to the new location yet. It looks beautiful, man. How's it going there? How's everyone liking it?
It's good, man. Thank you. Yeah, so I was just like any gym, you're renting a space and the landlord is maybe not doing what they're supposed to do, or the landlord decides they want too much for rent. And so I was in the search for a while. It's not easy because I'd find a place that was big enough and it had 6 parking spots, so it does me no good. Or I'd find a place that had good parking spots and it was big enough and they wanted a half a bajillion dollars for rent. So I managed to get lucky and I found a good spot. And I was able to work the finances around to purchase the building. Or rather, the bank owns the building and I pay the bank. They're kind enough to let me stay there. And it's been good. I had to do some renovations and things like that. And it was also, I mean, if you've got an established business, you can't move too far away from where you're already established. And so it's 8 minutes door to door away from where my old gym was. It's in Pittsfield now, so it's the town right next door, and it's worked out good.
That's awesome. And it looks like, based on the pictures I see that you post on Instagram, that the classes are growing. There's more people coming in the doors. How has that been working for you?
It's been really good. You you know with any kind of move, even 8 minutes down the road, you're going to lose some members. And that's always a worry. But the truth of it is, people are creatures of habit, and if they want a reason to not come, they're going to find a reason. And sometimes, a few people were like, it's just a little too far for us right now. And I was like, literally, I timed it, bro. 8 minutes. If that's the difference, then that's the difference. No big deal. But that being said, I also picked up a number of people because I'm technically a little closer to like Waterville. And I had some people that were like, man, I saw you moved, you're closer, we can finally join. And I was like, again, it's 8 minutes, but if that's what it took for you to be able to join, so it's been good. Numbers have been pretty good. Um, and people are learning and having a really good time, and so I'm pretty happy.
Very cool. Now, for anyone that might be watching this that would like to come to your gym, maybe haven't been there yet, and then they're entertaining that idea. What's the schedule like during the week?
So and we can get into this a little bit later, but I run my team practice at 8. I run separate team practices from my regular classes. My fight team are expected to be there and then encouraged to go to classes as well to get some more technical work and get some more reps in. But I run my team practice at 8:30 in the morning, and I run that for an hour to an hour and a half every morning. Then after that, I do private lessons. We start our kids classes at 5:30, so the gym opens back up at 5 o'clock, and we start our kids classes at 5:30. Muay Thai at 6:30 every night. Grappling at 7:30 every night. Open mat on Saturday.
That's awesome, man. Well, very, very happy for all your success. I know this is your world. You've put everything into it, man. So happy to see VQMT continuing to move forward, which reminds me, I'm still waiting for that camo t-shirt. You said you had one for me.
Oh man, yeah, I do have to get one of those to you. I apologize.
All good, man. All good. I just had to give you a little crap there.
You
Let's
are
let's
correct.
dive in, man. And NEF 53, it's almost here. This
Yeah.
looks like a great card. The NEF is really, outdone themselves here. A lot of great matchups. Let's start with Ryan Sanders, the Ryan Sanders. He's taking on Ali Zebian. Tough fight.
Oh
Obviously
yeah.
different body types. Ali is 9-3. As Ryan said, he's a spark plug. He's shorter. He's stout. He's got a lot of power. What are we going to see here in this fight?
Well, I mean, obviously it's not a style matchup, it's a stature matchup. You know what I mean? Ryan's obviously the taller, leaner, rangier of the fighters. Ali's the shorter, stockier, potentially more powerful of the fighters. Um, So I think we're gonna be looking at like a battle of statures. Can Ali get inside? Can Ryan keep him on the outside? Right?
Do you think Ryan wins this fight
Oh,
handily, or is this going to be a tough fight?
no, I think Ryan wins this fight hands down. Easy. I'm not easy. There's no easy fights. Like, I don't mean that to be insulting. What I mean is Ryan either stops the kid or it's a 3-round walk away decision.
Okay. All right. Well,
You know,
I'm
and,
excited
and
to
I
s-
and I think Ali's tough. I think he's a tough, talented fighter. Um, I just think my guy is tougher and more talented.
Okay. Well, hey, this is a big fight for Ryan too, especially after, losing to
Mhm.
Piersma for the 170 title. Let's talk about that a little bit. Obviously, that wasn't the outcome that any of you guys wanted, but you knew what Piersma wanted to do going in. This guy is
Yep.
a very, very darn good wrestler, and you got to give it to him. He executed his game plan. How disappointing was that for you, though, as a coach, to be there and watch that fight?
Bro, listen, it's hard to see any of my guys lose. You know what I mean? Like I want my guys to win at everything, unless it's against me. If they're thumb wrestling, I want them to be champions. Um, and especially for a guy like Ryan that kid's been around for a while. He's put the work in. He's got a good record, and I think he hasn't gotten the opportunities that he deserved or should have got later in his career. And I think that he took some fights and made some decisions early in his career that would have, in my opinion, were bad management. Um, but that's it's a gut shot, because I genuinely love the kid. I really do. And we had a nice little thing going on a good rise for wins. And that loss hurts on, I can sit here all day and say, "Oh, Piersma didn't do anything; he just held him down." But it's MMA, and that can win a fight, and you have to be able to beat guys that can do that. Even if I want to complain about guys that do that, right? You know what I mean? Like, uh, he didn't do anything, but he did get takedowns, and he did hold position. And even though I may have thought a referee should stand it up, he did enough to not get a stand up. Um, I mean, it was zero damage. I think Ryan might have landed more strikes on the ground, but you're not going to win a fight on your back throwing strikes. Uh, Ryan did a really good job of stopping the initial takedown, and Prisma would drive and reshoot, and that's a small cage at the Aura. Uh, so your feet are immediately against the bottom of the cage, and now you're pushed up against the cage. And Prisma's not a guy you want to be pushed up against the cage against. Like, he's going to get a body lock, and he's going to hold you right there.
Yeah. And yeah, I talked to Ryan a little bit about that. That definitely the cards are stacked against him to go against someone like Piersma in a cage that small, because you make
Yeah,
a couple of steps and he shoots, your back's up against the cage, you're in a real bad spot against someone that's elite.
yeah, and maybe that's a bit of a coaching error on my part. You know what I mean? Like, on the one hand, it's hard to get fights for Ryan. It's super hard to get fights for him. Um, and we're not afraid to fight anybody. So we've kind of got to take whoever's willing to fight us, right? But the thing is, the other side of that, as a coach, maybe I should have looked at where we were fighting and said, I hate to turn down a fight, but in that cage, maybe that's not the fight we should take. But I got to let my kid fight, and I got to give an opportunity to increase his record, and I have to give him an opportunity to get a payday. You know what I mean? Um, so I wear a little bit of that as a coach. Um, I know now, like, in that small cage, I'm going to be choosy about who I let my guys fight. Um, the other thing is, maybe I should have coached him in between rounds and said, "Look, man, just get the overhooks, lock this kid's arms up, and stare at the referee." You know, and just look at the referee like, "We're not going anywhere until you stand us up." And I don't fight like that. I don't train guys to fight like that. So I don't really coach like that either. And maybe that was the approach I should have taken after a round of Prisma just arms around the waist and holding him on the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and clearly, Primo, that was a bad loss for Ryan at this stage of his career. He needed to win that one. I mean, with goals of taking the next step. How dejected was he afterwards? What was that like, coach the fighter?
Ryan's a professional. You know what I mean? Like I'd lie if I said that he was, he wasn't unhappy. He was unhappy that he got a loss. Um, but he was he's like I said, he's a professional about it. I talked to him afterwards, and I'm one of those guys that like uh win, lose, or draw. I don't say anything negative in the locker room after a fight. That's not the time where a fighter is ready to hear any of that. So all they're going to hear is me talking negatively, and they're not actually ready to hear any of the constructive negative that's there. Um, and Ryan was the one that said to me after the fight, he was like, "Look, I made this mistake. I made this mistake. I should have done this better." And he was saying that to me in the locker room after the fight. And he was right back in the gym on Monday, ready to go, putting work in. Of course, he had a couple beers and drowned his sorrow a little bit, but he knows what he needs to do better, and he knows what he needs to do to increase his profile.
Where are we at with the updating of the nickname from V to Stone Cold? I think you got to put it out to the team and get this in place now.
I know you. I know you're about that. He's pretty attached to the Ryan Sanders.
Okay. I'm just going to keep working on him until
I
I
know.
wear him down. It's going to
I know. I
change
appreciate
eventually.
you for that.
Yeah, of course, of course. So again, one more thing about Ryan. I mean, it's clear
Sure.
when you look at who he's lost to, that his Achilles heel is going up against high level wrestlers. What have
Yep.
you guys been doing in this camp to get him ready and to just be better at that moving forward?
You know what I think it is? It's Ryan's a good wrestler. Like, I mean, I come from a wrestling background. Before I even did Muay Thai. And Ryan is a good wrestler. He's very good. And we talk in the gym all the time about like not making agreements in a fight. And some of this happens because of the nature of MMA and the nature of training MMA, right? So you can't always be training MMA. You do have to compartmentalize your training a little bit, right? Because there's so many things that happen. You got to do some training that's just striking, boxing, kickboxing, whatever it is. You've got to do some training that is just on the ground grappling. I'm on top or I'm on the bottom, but you've got to do some of that. You've got to do some strict wrestling. You've got to do some strict cage work. Um, and I think that because of the nature of the training of MMA, and it has to be that way, uh, guys often make agreements, right? Um, I don't want a guy to take me down. I don't want to be on the ground at all. I want to strike this fight. Guy shoots in and I fight that takedown. But now I want to, in my brain, because I'm a fighter and I want to win at everything, I want to win the wrestling now. And so I agree to wrestle with this guy rather than defensively wrestle and be back up and ready to stand. Same thing happens. Guy pushes a guy against the cage and they're fighting that, and the guy gets the reversal. And instead of pushing away and fighting how he wants, now all of a sudden I got you against the cage and I want to win here rather than doing what gives you forward progression to end the fight. What's going to give you the best opportunity to finish the fight? And sometimes that is on the ground, where guys that want to be on the ground get stuffed a couple times and then they get caught up in a striking match with a guy because, oh, you hit me, I want to hit you. You hit me once, I want to hit you twice. And sometimes Ryan makes those agreements. He's very comfortable on the ground. And so when he gets on the ground, he's comfortable grappling on the ground. And so you've got to like not make agreements in a fight. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It totally does. One last thing I got to ask you, and we know this. What Dana White and the UFC look for is that they look for a lot of like younger fighters. When you get someone
Yeah.
that's 20 and 10, it's kind of tough at that point to get
Yeah.
into the UFC. But Bellator, PFL, those are still out there for Ryan, as far as I'm
Absolutely.
concerned. So,
Yep.
when is that going to happen? I mean, I feel like at this stage, it's going to happen soon, right?
Dude, give us a call. You know what I mean? Hey, if you're out there and you're with the PFL or you're with Bellator or you're someone who has a connection there, say when, say go. You know what I mean? Like we ain't gonna be hard to find. And we're gonna take it. I don't care who it is. We're gonna take it. Say go.
So you just haven't been getting those calls.
No, no. There was a time during COVID where, or right after where we'd get calls, but it was, I gotta be honest, it was bullshit. You know what I mean? It was,
Yeah, step up
you
on
know,
short notice to fight an absolute monster.
yeah, exactly. A weight class up from where you normally fight. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, it's a week's notice or a week and a half notice against somebody, quite honestly, that you want to beat us. You know, which is fine. It's not a mismatch if you know it's a mismatch, right? But it's a week's notice. Ryan fights at 170. It's a week's notice at 185 against an absolute animal, and it's like, and here's the thing, like I got nothing wrong with Bellator, but you're not coming to us and saying, a short notice fight with the UFC still gets you a 3 or 4 fight contract. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like the UFC understands that if they call you in on short notice to kind of do them a favor, make weight, fight well, fight hard, and even if you lose, that was kind of the cost of admission, right? You got 3 fights where you're going to get notice and you can get a good training camp in and you could try to make something happen and still make yourself look good. At that time, Bellator's making offers that are one-off fights that aren't even going to get aired. It's gonna, if you're lucky, it's going to get aired on the internet, and it's a complete setup fight. And there's no 2 or 3 fight contract after that. So
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what is next for him. Obviously, up next is Ali. He's got to get this win, and then
yeah.
we'll see what happens after that in 2023. Let's move to Tim Murray. He's taking
Uh-huh.
on Alex Morris. Both of these guys are 1-1. I just interviewed Alex, and he's
I
extremely
saw.
confident. Yeah, he
I
he
saw.
thinks
He should be. He should
okay.
be. We are too, right? Confident guys are awesome because they get punched in the face. They walk right in.
Do you think that's what's going to happen here?
I think watching his other 2 fights, um, I don't think he knows how to not get in a fight. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a compliment. Like that's not an insult to that kid at all. He wants to fight. He's a gamer, and I appreciate that. I don't wanna have to send out smoke signals looking for the guy that we're fighting.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about how Tim's looking. Obviously, he dropped his debut to Randall, then he
Yep.
finished Giuliano, so he's 1-1 now as an amateur. How is he progressing?
Man, kids leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. Hard worker, dedicated, uh, always asking me the questions, but asking the right questions. As a trainer, um, I show certain things, certain techniques, certain series of things, so on and so forth, right? And I don't care if you're a general member or if you're a fighter. I don't want you asking questions about things that we haven't gone over or we haven't taught. You know what I mean? Like I always make this joke about the Showtime kick. How many guys after that and it was amazing. But how many guys came into the gym and 3 days in are like, Coach, can you show me the Showtime kick? How about you learn to jab? You know what I like? Let's do a jab since you don't know which foot's supposed to go forward yet.
Yeah.
And Tim Murray asks the right questions. He asks questions that are about the things we're working on, and then it listens and then tries to implement those things, and then comes back 2 days later and says, Coach, I tried this and this with this guy, and I had success with this. And this I didn't, am I just bad at it? Am I doing it wrong? And then we can analyze and get better from there. So I really enjoy training Tim. Like I said, he's thirsty for knowledge. He works really hard, and I see huge improvements in him.
Yeah, he's such a good guy, and clearly with him being a chef and being a very good chef at that, does he bring in things for the fighters to kind of get you guys?
He actually doesn't because I won't let him.
Oh, you won't let him?
Uh,
Okay.
Listen, guys got to make weight. You know what I mean? Like zero temptation because you know how these fools are. They can't deal with temptation.
What about post fight? He should be able to cook something up for you guys, right?
Oh yeah, post fight we'll eat a little something. You know what I mean? Yeah.
All right. Excited to see Tim back in there against
Yeah.
Alex Morris. You also have Eddie Pena back in
Yep.
action. That fight hasn't been announced. Not that I see. I double checked on Tapology on New England Fights Instagram page. I don't see anything yet. But can you just tell me what you think of this upcoming matchup? How Eddie's looking?
I'm psyched for Eddie. Like, I mean, the kid is sharp, and I don't know if you remember back to his first fight that was at the Aura. Um, Eddie if that fight. I think that fight went 2 minutes and 55 seconds, and Eddie won 2 minutes and 45 seconds of that fight, hands down, front to back. Um, you know, that's a hard loss to wear because I'm a coach. I've been around the block a little bit. So I can sit there and go, man, that kid did everything but win the fight. Zero to be ashamed of there, be proud of it, so on and so forth. But as a fighter, you lost the fight. You feel like dog shit. Uh, but that's a loss on his record that, in my opinion, really is a win. That fight could have been stopped legitimately from all the punches that Eddie was landing. And I'm very careful to play against my biases in situations like that. I understand that it's my fighter, and I'm almost always going to give the benefit of the doubt to my fighter. So knowing that, I'll go the other way on it and assume it's my own bias. That fight could have and should have been stopped. Um, and Eddie did everything he could to win that fight. His second fight, he lost. He was looking really good, and he got clipped. You know what I mean? It's small gloves. It's game of inches. Eddie likes to strike, and you know what I mean. You know, live by the sword, die by the sword. Sometimes, you know. But he's been looking really good in camp. He's been training harder this than any other camp, and he trained hard in the other camps. He's looking very sharp, and I think that he's dialed it in physically and mentally for this fight.
And with him being 0-2, Primo, I have to imagine we're going to see a very hungry Eddie Pena in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and you know that's the thing. Like, you know, he's hungry. He's not looking to lose again. Um, and we need like you know, you gotta find that balance, that controlled hungry. You need, you know, be aggressive, but not over aggressive.
Mhm.
Kid that he's fighting is an independent. Um, so not a lot out there on him. And what I always say about like independent kids is that like they're gonna fight hard no matter what. These are the guarantees I can make before I'm able to look at any kind of video on somebody like that. They are going to come hard, and so you know you got to be prepared for that. Eddie's prepared for that.
Yeah, no doubt. So just these three fighters competing for
Yeah.
your gym here. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Let me get some analysis from you as because I know you know the game as good as anyone, my man. So let's talk about a couple of other fights on this card, shall we?
Right on.
Jesse the Viking Erickson. I saw he was just up at your gym recently. He's taking on
Yeah.
Mo
Good dude.
Kanani. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we
Yeah.
gonna
What a
see in that
fight,
fight?
man. Like, I mean, right? Like, you know, it's 1994. It's classic striker versus grappler, right? Um, this is like, listen, I'm going to tell you who I think's going to win. I'm going to give you my disclaimer at the beginning of it. Uh, I'm a striker at heart. I like Mo. I really do, and I like the way the kid fights. I really do. Jesse's going to win this fight. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that I think Mo is any less talented than he is. He's a super talented fighter. He's super fucking tough. And he has that thing to get right in somebody's ass, and I appreciate that. But Jesse is, and I said it, you know, years ago. Jesse's record does not reflect how dangerous of a fighter that he is. Jesse's general attitude and demeanor does not reflect how dangerous of a fighter he really is. And I think that you know, everybody will see that in the fight. Like Jesse's a very good fighter. Obviously, you know, this is Mo has the advantage pure striking and Jesse has the advantage pure grappling. Um but I think Jesse has what it takes to win this fight.
Does he win via sub?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't pick the round. The round is going to be dependent on how tough Mo is.
all right.
But Jesse's going to win this fight. He's going to win it by sub.
I can't wait for that fight. I'm really, really excited about that fight. Artur Manev just won the AMI strap, and now he's going pro to take on Matt Denning.
Yep.
What are we going to see in this fight?
I man, we got nothing on Artur other than what's the Ukrainian kid, right? Other than he's really tough and has a lot more experience than his 1-0 as an amateur suggests. I've known and trained a lot of uh Soviet and former Soviet countries, and those kids fight. They fight all the time. They come from cultures that still believe in combat sports and push that with their kids. And the kid's had a lot of fights. He's totally had a lot of fights. There's just nothing out there on it. And with that last win, who did he fight? Faulkner?
Yeah.
Man, Zach Faulkner's fucking good, dude. Like that dude's a good fighter, and Arthur took it to him. And was calm in doing it. And Zach is a fucking really good fighter. So we really didn't get to see a lot from Artem. My guess is gonna be standing, he's got the edge. On the ground, the edge goes the other direction.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
another fight I'm excited about.
it's pick a man. Denning's super dangerous on the ground, bro.
Yeah.
Like, like again, Denny's gone through whatever he's gone throughout his career and whatever. And took some fights that maybe he shouldn't have taken at times. Wasn't as prepared for some fights as he probably should have been at times. But the truth of it is, he's dangerous on the ground, like super dangerous. I can't think other than the Jesse Erickson fight. I can't think of a fight that I've seen Denning in where he wasn't threatening on the ground to somebody, whether he won it or lost it. You know what I mean? He is always threatening on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, don't disrespect Matt Denning. Matt Denning is a
No,
very, very good fighter. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for that fight. Another kid that I'm really high on. He was undefeated as an amateur. He's making his pro debut. He beat Curtis Willett to win the NEF amateur welterweight title. And I'm talking about Kyle Hill. And he's facing Cornelius Williams, his
That's
pro
his
debut
pro
as
debut,
well.
right?
Pro debut as well. How
Yeah.
good is Kyle Hill?
Let's see. I think I commentated with you on the outdoor show that
That's
NEF
right.
did last summer, and he fought. Man, that kid's talented, dude. Okay, as a striking coach, what I can say about his striking that strikes me the most is his poise. That kid is like a natural born killer when it comes to his stand-up game in an MMA fight. Has incredible poise, doesn't come out of the box too much, like picks the shots that he needs to pick and stays within control of, like some guys will hit a couple good things and then they'll get wild. He doesn't get wild. He hits a couple good things, hits what he should hit, and then he stays in that grouping until he's got you out of there. You know what I mean? And he's got enough confidence in his striking. I can see it as an advanced striker. He has enough confidence in his striking to not pull the trigger too soon, to know that he's going to get to you eventually. You know what I mean? And that's like I said, a lot of poise, a lot of control in your striking to hit a guy a couple good times and go, I got minutes, I got rounds, I can get this. It takes a lot of poise and control to get hit and go, it's cool, I just got hit. Couple, no big deal. I'm gonna hit him back, and I'm gonna build on this. You know what I mean? And I'm impressed with that from him.
Yeah, I'm very high on him. I think he's got a bright future, and he's
Yeah.
great team, Nose Toast MMA. One other
Yeah.
fighter,
What was his, do you know his overall amateur record?
he was 4-0.
4-0. Okay. So, maybe a little early to go pro. I'm not trying to get in his coach's mind, um, because he's looked really good. Me personally, I'd like my guys to get a little bit more amateur experience, but if he's 4-0 and he's crushing it, and his coaches think he's ready, he's ready.
I'm excited to see what
Yeah.
happens in NEF 53. One last fighter, Primo. I want to get your thoughts on Tyler Smythe is back fighting for NEF. He's 2-1 as a pro. Really good ground game. He beat Caleb Austin, obviously,
Yeah.
as an amateur for the title. What are your thoughts on
He
Tyler
took
Smythe
it
as
to
a fighter?
Caleb,
Yeah.
and I think Caleb's a very talented fighter. He took it right to him.
What do you think we're going to
Sorry, what
see
was your
from Tyler
question?
here? How good is he? How good of a fighter do you think he is?
Man, I think he's very good. I think he for what I see out of him is that kid, he's got grit. You know what I mean? He's got that, like, there's a dog in him, and uh he's not afraid to get in there and get at it. He's not afraid to beat you at your own game. And that's pretty impressive. You know what I mean? I'm excited to see him progress in the pro ranks, because I think, like, he's one of those guys that you're not gonna have to ask him twice to fight somebody. You know?
I'm excited to see him back fighting for NEF. This really is a great
Yeah,
card.
yeah.
Again, Merrill Auditorium, Portland, Maine, this Saturday, July the 8th. Primo, always great talking to you, my man. I love having you on. You know that.
Thanks, brother.
Tell me, before we do sign off here, what are we going to see from VQMT here moving forward in 2023? Do you think we're going to have a card or two where we have a lot of your fighters competing?
I hope so. The team's coming along. We're a new team. Like, I'm not a new coach. But really we're a new team. I opened the gym during COVID. And it takes a while to build, a fight team. And I'm one of those guys that I don't, oh, you're a tough guy. I don't just put tough guys into fights. Uh I made Ryan Sanders wait before I got him a fight under me, because anybody can hold ice on your head. You know what I mean? Anybody can hold ice on your head and give you a sip of water. I'm a coach. If we're not communicating and in the room during practices to where I'm able to help you, and we're not able to communicate in a fight, there's no point in me putting a guy into a fight, right? Because I'm not a dude that just gives water and puts ice on people's necks. So if I'm gonna wait on Ryan Sanders when he comes to my gym to get him a fight, to make sure that we're flowing and we're doing things correctly, I for sure am gonna wait on an amateur. Uh, so it takes a bit to, like, really build a team. I'm a pretty demanding coach as well. Like, here are our practices. You need to be at all these practices. And I'm not one that, you're here kind of spotty, and then I get you a fight and you're right here for 8 weeks. No, you're right here every day. And then I get you a fight and you're here even more, is the way that goes. So I think in the next year, like, we're kind of building towards, like, a little bit of a coming out party. We've had some good wins, we've had a few losses. That's the game. But I'm pretty sure that coming up here, we're gonna be able to. I mean, for this show, I had 5 guys that I was looking to get on the show, and we would have been ready to go with 5 guys. Didn't work out for 2 of them. We still got 3. It can very easily be 5 or 6 guys, because I got 5 guys at least ready to go, and another 4 or 5 in the pipeline that, when the opportunity is right, they're ready to go.
Very good, my man. Looking forward to it, Primo. Before we do sign off, tell people where they can follow you on social media, plug your gym, give anything else you want to, tell people about. The floor is yours.
Super easy. Primo Bellarosa on Instagram and Facebook. Vision Quest _Mui _Thai on Facebook and Instagram. Also visionquestmuaythai.com for the website. We're right in Pittsfield, Maine. Looking to do it. Looking to train anybody, honestly. Like, I got housewives at my gym that are learning Muay Thai and they're loving it, and I love teaching them. And then I got my boys that are fighting that are loving it, and I love teaching them. So it really doesn't matter who you are. Muay Thai, MMA, grappling, it's for everyone. And then we go from there to decide how far you really want to take it, show up. That's all it takes. Show up, put the work in, have fun. If you're not having fun, don't do it. But I guarantee you're going to have fun.